Welcome, family, to Kingdom Academy Podcast, a community of like-minded daughters of the King who love the Lord, abide by His word, and submit to kingdom help that is healing, equipping, launching, and prospering in business and ministry. Have you been working on a business offer and you're trying to figure out how to position to sell it to your target audience? Sometimes I've realized that can be one of the hardest things to figure out in business. We have the excellent offer. We created a system and a pathway that will get somebody from their problem to the answer. But then how do we position it to serve it to our audience? If you've partaken of the Honey Tribe or the Rain and Joy business coaching, you've learned that some of these techniques, along with a few others we have in our community arsenal. But in this episode, we're going to go over 3 of them in particular. So the first one is a joint venture. And this is when 2 or more people come together with their respective businesses and offers and create a system and pathway to market both of their businesses and offers jointly and mutually. This is a beautiful way to grow in business. But before you dive into partnership, be sure to take it all to the Lord in prayer first. And then, if you haven't yet, listen to episodes 49, 50, and 52 about finding the right partnership and alignment, as the word gives us a lot of warnings and directions on this. And I know 3 episodes on that, but yes, because that's how important it is. It is so important. And that's in everything, not just in business, but in life, in marriage, in relationships of any kind. We need to be sure of our alignment. Because to come into agreement, to yoke with somebody is to come into agreement with them. So it's important to make sure your collaboration and joint venture partners have the same belief systems, similar and complementary business offers that serve the same audience, and clarify where you both have strengths, where you both have weaknesses, and then find a way to complement those areas. So for example, if one of you might be excellent at teaching a particular topic, the other one may have the space to host that teaching event and the audience to bring to it. And that would be an excellent way, because then the one who is teaching serves the one who has the audience and the location. And the one who has the audience and location can bring the audience to that message. So you may be doing a lot of work to prep for the teaching and the trainings, but then your partner has the valuable skills you need to reach your target audience. And this type of collaboration will grow you both in your businesses at once, all while well serving your mutual audience. Okay, so the second thing is podcast touring for your marketing. And this is free marketing as well. So a podcast tour is when you find your target audience in other podcasts. So you go search for your audience and those who have similar or complementary offers, just like the joint venture process. And I will say, I've had guests on my podcast who actually offer the exact same things that I do, but I don't mind, because if they have a voice and a message that serves my audience better than I do, then that will benefit my audience. And if they pick that person instead, then they needed that person instead. And all of us, we could teach, there could be 10 of us in the same room teaching the exact same thing, but each one of us have a unique voice and a unique message that ties to our teaching style of how we're teaching that particular thing. And that reaches a particular audience. So you can't feel threatened by somebody who has the same message as you, because your fingerprint is on your message and their fingerprint is on theirs. And each one of those will reach a particular type of audience and a particular type of people. But if you have something that complements another's audience, such as a business that teaches women how to write books, for example, and you teach women how to podcast, these 2 can complement each other well, because podcasting is a great way to market your book. And writing books can be shared well with an audience who's learning to podcast. So this is a great joint venture of sorts. So what you want to do is you want to go find your podcasts and build your podcast list of maybe 20 podcasts. And this is going to be your marketing tour. So what you do is you find podcasts that might have smaller audiences first, that are easier to get access to and be a guest on, and add those to your list. Then, as you're seeking more podcasts, find the bigger and bigger podcasts and add them to your list. Even the biggest ones you can find, add them to. And add up to about 20 of them. And when you finish the list, you're going to start at the smallest podcasts first so that you can fine-tune your message and your offer, and then you work your way up to the bigger audiences with more fine-tuned message and offer so that you serve them better. So by the time you get up to the podcasts that have maybe 100,000 to 1 million listeners, you're going to have your message and your offer down. Think about that. You can actually get on podcasts with hundreds of thousands to millions of listeners, and then your offer can be positioned in front of that many people. I'm telling you, podcasting is an amazing thing. So if you have a podcast yourself and your business and offer complement each other, you can ask to be a guest on their podcast as well, or they might even invite you. And you can kind of feel that out as you go along, because usually there's like the pre-chat and the post-chat in any podcast when you have a guest. And then thirdly and lastly, this is something that I call riding the lists. So what does it mean to ride the lists? So find friends and business associates and even others who you might not yet know who may have bigger platforms and bigger email lists than you have. And then you create an offer or content or an invite that you can share with them to get on their lists. Make sure it's something that serves their audience in a way that they can't necessarily serve their audience in, but it will grow their services and their platform for you to offer it to their audience. And this can be done as part of your JV marketing as well. So when you're partnering, you can share both of your email lists. So for example, when we were talking about the one who teaches women how to write books and the one who teaches women how to podcast, both of you can create marketing content to share on each other's email lists as well. Now, one of you might have a much bigger audience or email list, and one of you might not have much of a big email list. And that's fine, because that comes down to that same concept of how the joint venture works. You just have to make sure how you can add on your part, if you have the smaller list, something that will be very beneficial to your partner in a way, in an area of their weakness. So you have to work together to figure out what those are so that you can serve each other mutually and better. And if you haven't put it all together yet, all three of these things work incredibly well in tandem with one another. So have fun, be creative, and market for free while building your network and your net worth. Thanks for joining this conversation with us. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. For episodes, offers, or other guest information, please be sure to check the show notes. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.